Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Addict 3.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto had a harem with Ino Kurotsuchi Hinata Temari Tsunami Hanabi and Hana Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like th. Is. AD now let's start the fanfic. Arashiki Otsutsuki was not happy. How could he be? He wanted to take Uzumaki Naruto's chakra which, even by the standards of the Otsutsuki clan, was large. He wanted to have all that chakra for himself to use for his own purposes and that's why he left when Momo's Hiki was defeated by Naruto and Sasuke. He saw the futility of it. He wanted to attack when he got the slightest opening and he got one. He was spying on the village for the right moment to attack when he found an interesting instrument. More like an interesting device he hadn't seen for some time. These shinobi found it and it was sent to R&D for study. He attacked the dumb R&D researchers, who didn't stand a chance, took the artifact from them, and removed the seal. The turtle activated and waited for instructions. I want you to take me 20 years into the past, he said, more like demanded the turtle, who nodded and took the required chakra. Arashiki was giddy and as soon as it got enough chakra, it initiated time travel when two other figures latched onto it and tagged along. Arashiki snarled at them. He doesn't want these pests to spoil his plans. Why you insects? Get off the turtle or I'll kill you, he yelled. Yet before they could do anything, they vanished from Konoha. How did you find me? Arashiki asked, irritated that these pests wouldn't let him do what he wanted. When I came to ask the R&D scientists about the artifact, they were dead and I suspected you would be the reason as you escaped from Momoshiki's skillfully. I sensed a chakra spike near the R&D building and came here, Sasuke said in a matter-of-fact tone, his Rinnegan active. Though this annoyed Arashiki more, he calmed down to think of a battle plan. After a mind-numbing journey through time-space, they landed in a thick forest, completely surrounded by trees. Sasuke knew they were in Hai no Kuni. But where is the real question? What have you done? I wanted to land in Konoha. It's because of you two I was dropped here, in the middle of nowhere. Arashiki accused and jumped to fight them. Sasuke-san, what should we do? This will make some noise and if anyone is nearby, they can spot us. Boruto asked, trying to dodge the enraged Otsutsuki, which was becoming harder and harder as his rage seemed to increase his strength. Sasuke joined the fight, giving some space for Boruto to breathe. Boruto, search around and if anyone is around us, vacate them. This will turn ugly, Sasuke ordered, defending Arashiki's chakra hook with his sword. Out of all Otsutsukis, Arashiki's abilities are the hardest to defend against as his hook can bypass pretty much anything and steal chakra. You will not escape this time, Uchiha. You will no longer stop me from getting what I want, Arashiki said with a maniacal smile as he plucked Sasuke's chakra from him. Something which Sasuke is trying to avoid. Sasuke immediately fell, unable to maintain his Rinnegan which helped him defend against Arashiki's hook till now. He must have sneaked it when I was distracted. Damn it, Sasuke yelled in rage in his mind. Now take this, Arashiki said, forming many fire and lightning attacks in his hands and throwing them at a weakened Sasuke. The Uchiha tried his best to jump around and dodge the attacks, but they were too many to dodge. Instead of throwing scorching fires that can blaze an entire forest, Arashiki sent small fireballs, shooting them from his hand, making the Uchiha strain more. Frog Kata. Spinning kick. A spinning kick came and hit the enjoying Otsutsuki in the jaw, sending him spiraling into the forest. That should give us some time, Jiraiya said as he inspected the scene. He and Naruto were going to the next town for research and training when they heard large explosions from the forest and Jiraiya decided to investigate. He ordered the blonde to stay where they were on the road and moved into the forest when he found another blonde, similar yet different to Naruto, coming towards him. What's wrong, kid? Need to vacate the area. A big battle is going to destroy this place, Boruto urged, which increased the suspicions of the Toad Sage. Okay, My student is waiting for me on the road, meet with him and start vacating the area. I'll go see what's wrong. Jiraiya ordered, and when he was about to jump, Boruto caught his hand. No, it is dangerous, he exclaimed in fear. He can still remember his battle with Momoshiki. It took all 5 Kages and Sasuke-san coming together to defeat a high-level Otsutsuki. Arashiki had 2 pills if he remembered it correctly, while Momoshiki had only 1, Kinshiki. So he is very scared of what would happen if he ever ate them. Don't worry, kid, I'm strong. Now go, Jiraiya ordered, leaving no room for argument for the young shinobi as he moved into the forest. Reluctantly, Boruto listened to the old man and moved towards the road and found a near clone of himself. He stopped in shock. He remembered that jumpsuit. Awaiting Naruto saw a blonde like him in a black jumpsuit approach and was surprised for a second. Who are you? You look like me, Dadbao. Naruto asked, half yelled. He felt something about the other blonde. They have more similarities after all. No time. We need to move. We need to vacate the area around. Boruto said in urgency. The nearest town is, I think, a few kilometers away in all directions. And it will take a few hours to reach Konoha. Whom do you want to vacate? Naruto asked, not grasping the urgency. In that case, let's move. We need to vacate from here. Boruto said and pulled Naruto with him. Wait. Ero Sennin went in. Naruto exclaimed, trying his best to get away from the other blonde. He said he will be fine. Now come, Boruto ordered in an authoritative tone, and Naruto followed him unwillingly. While this was going on, a lone figure was observing with interest. What is this? How come that brat has traces of my chakra? And what is this chakra? It is larger and has so much malice than mine. Kyuubi pondered. He knew something big is going to happen. With Sasuke. Who are you? Jiraiya asked the injured man as he helped him to sit. Thank you for your help. Where is my student? Sasuke asked, dodging the question. I sent him with mine, Jiraiya assured the downed Uchiha while looking for any more injuries. We are wandering shinobi from Kiri. We were ambushed by this guy and he seems strong. Sasuke made up a story. Kiri, you look strong. You must have been quite a shinobi back in the day. Jiraiya said, assessing Sasuke. Though he covered his eyes, one with an eye patch and the other with his hair. Who the hell are you? Be gone from here. I am going to kill this bastard and that brat. If you step in, you will also be added to the list. Arashiki warned. You must work on your taunts if you want to scare me. Jiraiya mocked, stretching his body for a drawn-out fight. You are dead. Arashiki charged with his hand back as to punch Jiraiya while Jiraiya tried to keep up with the Otsutsuki. His strength didn't hold a candle to the otherworldly man. Damn, and I thought I was physically strong. Chidori. Nagashi, Sasuke said, surprising Arashiki with a body shock, but Arashiki managed to absorb half the attack with his eyes changing to Rinnegan. Jiraiya didn't notice it till now, but he didn't miss the blues of the Rinnegan and was shell-shocked. They reminded him of another similar pair of eyes he trained all those years ago. This is no time for recollection, Jiraiya, Sasuke called, which managed to pull him out of the train of thoughts. And focus on the opponent in front of him. Arashiki attacked again with many elemental attacks. Instead of dodging, they made a run for it, which made the Otsutsuki follow their trail. While all the running tired them, Arashiki simply floated behind them. He doesn't want to admit it, but that spinning kick did a number on him as he was caught off guard, and some earth jutsu was also used to increase its force of impact. They managed to temporarily escape the man when they heard high boisterous laughter nearby. Yes, I painted the Hokage mountain with ease in broad daylight. Naruto said with pride to a similar clone of his. So who are you two? Jiraiya asked, still watching over the two blondes bond from the bush. Don't bother lying. I have a good idea. Jiraiya warned, and Sasuke sighed. We are from the future. And you are Uchiha Sasuke, and that kid is Naruto's son, Uzumaki Boruto. So he married, huh? Did he become Hokage? Jiraiya asked enthusiastically. Boom. Hey. Got you, Arrow Sennin. Naruto exclaimed in joy and ran to one of his glitter bombs to see an unknown man looking at him in fury. But his face changed to satisfaction in a second. Yes. I'm here for you. Now give me. Arashiki said, choking Naruto with his left hand while his right hand moved towards his seal. No. You won't. Boruto yelled and latched onto the Otsutsuki's right hand. You again. Vessel of Momoshiki. You have become quite a nuisance for me. But it's only because of him that you are still alive. Arashiki said and tried throwing him away. Boruto's Kama seal touched his skin and he got a pulse from it and got a message undetected by anyone. Arashiki's face twisted into a satisfied smile and he quickly bit the chakra pill he had and made the ground under them into a lava pit, making it difficult for anybody to approach him. A large chakra spike was felt across the clearing and Arashiki did the unthinkable. He threw Boruto into the lava pit and tried extracting the Kyuubi but simultaneously doing what he never tried. Soon, a black diamond seal formed on Naruto's left palm and Arashiki got a satisfied smile. Naruto was confused by the whole ordeal as he didn't have any idea of what was going on. Sorry, Naruto said innocently, thinking the man is angry at him as didn't see Boruto being thrown or the lava pit that formed under them. Yes. You have become one of them, brat. One of few who were chosen by fate. With this, you are above humans. You are so much more than a Jinchuriki. You will in time realize this. When you realize, I'll be back to take over. Arashiki said as Sasuke's Chidori approached him from behind. It pierced right through his heart and Naruto saw a bloody hand come out of Arashiki in the same spot where Sasuke tried killing him and his hands unconsciously went to the spot. Ha 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 ha. You think this is the last of us, Uchiha? It's not. But you will regret this. With those last words, Arashiki's body crumbled into dust, leaving no trace of the Otsutsuki's presence. Sasuke wasn't surprised as he saw the same happen to Momoshiki though he left the Kama on Boruto. He scanned Naruto for any abnormality and finding none, concluded everything was alright. He also noticed how the blonde clutched his chest and was hit by a twinge of sadness. He knew what Naruto was thinking and didn't want to disturb the blonde. He gave him enough trauma already. He looked at the 2 chakra pills that Boruto took when he threw him into the pit and took one while Jiraiya also walked to them. They picked one each. These are very advanced and powerful chakra pills. I think they have at least 2 to 3 times cage level chakra. I need it for my return journey. Sasuke said and Jiraiya nodded. Sasuke swallowed the pill, it gave him his lost chakra and his Rinnegan back, which made the Uchiha see. GH in relief. He scanned the area with his Rinnegan for any signs of Arashiki or his chakra. He saw what Momoshiki said to Boruto after all. Finding none, he relaxed. So, care to elaborate? Jiraiya asked, sitting beside the Uchiha. I'm almost out of chakra, give me a few minutes. Sasuke requested and Jiraiya nodded. Sasuke gravely underestimated the strain the journey and the fight caused to his body. Though he wasn't fully recovered, it was almost night and he wanted to leave now. He signaled Boruto to slowly come to him for their departure only to be interrupted by a twig snapping sound. The future shinobi turned around to see Jiraiya and Naruto standing behind them with wide grins while the 2 they assumed were real poofed out of existence. I should have known you would do something like this, Sasuke said in resignation. Yes. Now speak. Tell me what is all this? Jiraiya asked with steel in his tone. Sasuke observed his situation. He doesn't want to affect and change the past more than he already screwed up. He didn't want to drag anyone into this fight. But the fight went so out of control. He didn't have a chance. He just wants to erase the 2 people's memories and leave now. Seeing that the area he was in was perfect for him, he turned to the waiting duo. Here is the chakra pill you asked for, Jiraiya. I marked it important and basic info on it if you forget. Sasuke said and threw the second pill Arashiki left. Jiraiya scanned the cover and lifted his head to nod when a bright flash engulfed the area. Rinne Sharingan. Bokyaku Suru. With a flash, everything in the clearing went back to normal. Naruto, how many times should I have to say not practice your Rasengan in the forest? Go find a clearing and practice. Jiraiya yelled at the blonde. It's not like you tell me every time you leave for your stupid research, pervy sage. The blonde yelled back. Jiraiya was taken aback. Oh no, we are late. Pick all the equipment. They might close it. They might close it. Jiraiya said urgently and ran towards the village they were traveling to before. Naruto decided to continue his practice in the middle of the forest. With Sasuke and Boruto. What is that jutsu? Boruto asked in excitement. It's an ancient jutsu I found in one of Kagaya's palaces. By using that jutsu she made her sacrifices blank without any memories. It will erase the memories of the victims as per the user's wishes when they stare at the blinding light. And the victim will never remember this happened. I know normal memory manipulation with Sharingan as well. But it won't be as deeply erased as it is now. Sasuke explained. So dad won't know anything happened now? Boruto asked and Sasuke confirmed. Though he is sad that he couldn't spend more time with his teen father and Sasuke with his young old friend, they are satisfied as they were successful in stopping Arashiki. We will depart now. Touch the turtle. Sasuke said and Boruto touched the turtle and they vanished in bright light, happy that they didn't change anything in the past. How dead wrong they were. Inside Boruto's kama. Hey, foolish vermin. You think you can blindside me? Now who got blindsided? Momoshiki cackled. Sensing Arashiki was nearby, he sent a message that allowed the survival of another member of his almighty clan. All this while Sasuke Uchiha was busy organizing his brain. Kama seal is a compressed genetic code of a member of the Otsutsuki clan. They impart this seal on a person they deem fit as a vessel. Over time, the Kama will gradually overwrite the vessel's genetic profile until they transform into a Pei. Rfect Otsutsuki. Should the Otsutsuki be slain, their soul will migrate to one of their vessels and become anchored to the world of the living, and when the Kama completes, the Otsutsuki will reincarnate through their body, completely replacing them. Choosing Uzumaki Boruto is a blessing to him as the pest has high levels of chakra to endure the strain and a strong body to persevere through the process. He heard about many failed vessels, and didn't want his vessel to be one of them. The message he sent to Arashiki was very simple. Mark him, Arashiki. These Uzumaki can be our perfect vessels. He managed to not activate the Kama seal with the limited power he was left with so that pesky Uchiha won't suspect anything wrong. And Mark Arashiki did. He ate one of the chakra fruits to strengthen himself and injected most of his power into the Kyuubi host's body. He can't imagine how much satisfaction and pride Arashiki felt for getting a Jinchuriki as his vessel. As soon as it started, the process ended, completing the marking ritual. The seal of fate was planted and the destiny of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki was permanently changed. With a final laugh about how skillful they were, Momoshiki relished the memories he made. Naruto's mindscape. In the dimly lit sewer, changes started to appear rapidly as the black mark was embedded on Naruto. Myriad blue lines moved across the blonde's body, traveling at the full length of it. The Otsutsuki made the entire process untraceable in their eons of practice as they have a very high-level dojutsu that can detect the subtlest of changes and don't want to be killed by one of their own for one thing or another. And so from the many pipes in the sewer, the blue lines entered the corridor and took the form of the Kama seal. From the black diamond rose a shadowy figure. Yes. At last my own Kama. This is enthralling. The figure said, looking at his surroundings. He is almost black except for the white head protrusions he had that split in the middle of his face. What luscious chakra. I didn't sense this level of reserves from anyone his age. He was interrupted. Who are you? Kyuubi asked, inching closer to the bars of the cage. The mighty Kyuubi. If not for anything, you are useful for your chakra. If not for you, I can't imagine how Naruto turned out like the monster he was. If you have this much chakra, I can only imagine how much chakra this world's Jubi had in the fruit. he said in a casual tone. Kyuubi's eyes widened at those words. So you have absorbed the chakra in its place Well, it's not all bad. I'll find a good use for you. The almost black Arashiki said with a happy smile. Jubi. Did he say Jubi? Kyuubi shuddered. What's wrong? Surprised. Hey, we are the creators of this world and we will take what's rightfully ours. Though at this point this has become a branch world. He continued, walking towards the cage and tried removing the sealing paper that read, Seal. You are not Naruto to remove that. How did you get here? A blond man, who appeared from nowhere, asked, tightening his grip on the black Arashiki's wrist. Foolish pest, you dare touch me. Remove your hand off me. Black Arashiki said, pulling his hand out harshly. Yondaime, he is trouble. He time traveled here and put that on Naruto. Kyuubi said, pointing to the diamond seal in front of the cage. Minato looked at the black diamond. While Kyuubi closed his eyes as he didn't want to get affected by whatever jutsu the Uchiha used on Naruto and the pervert as. He wanted to keep all these memories. The first words this man said terrified him. His old man never mentioned anything about his past or anything other than his mother who became the Jubi and how they were part of it. But how did this person know of it is his biggest question. If he was able to come here, who else would come here and what the hell happened in the future? All these questions started bugging the lazy and curious fox. What is that seal? Is it some kind of chakra suppressor? It doesn't show any markings. It doesn't have any kanji. Minato wondered. You noticed our incredible creation. You should know how useless you are now. Black Arashiki said as he laughed happily. Thinking that he won't be enough, Minato brought another person for help. He started performing hand signs and with a drop of his blood, the cage opened, causing chains to form in the middle of it, taking the form of a figure. The cage closed immediately. I'm sorry to call you, Kushina. But I think I can't face him alone. Minato said, looking at the surprised redhead that stood in front of Kyuubi's cage. I didn't think you modified the 8 tetragram seal this much, Minato, Kushina said with a happy smile, but her face turned sad at the implication. Does this mean? Yes. This means we can no longer help Naruto. Minato completed, while the shadowy Otsutsuki observed the two in front of him in interest. How in Otsutsuki's name did you all get here? Only Kyuubi was supposed to be here. He yelled at the two humans in front of him. While the name didn't mean much to Minato and Kushina, it rang alarm bells in Kyuubi's head. How did he know that name? It's Two San's clan name. So he is one of them. His eyes widened in surprise. You are the uninvited one here. We are going to get rid of you for Naruto. Minato said, his eyes and tone having an edge to them. Kushina gave a determined nod. Naruto. Do you mean the Uzumaki Naruto? I would laugh at you two trying to protect him. But considering his current age, I can understand. But let me tell you, the one who needs protection is us, the Otsutsuki. He was a monster even by our standards. And as for the Uzumaki, they are the perfect hosts for us. Looks like the redhead beside you is one of them. His voice held respect for the first part and turned mocking at the end. Enough talk, Minato said as he pulled out his Hiraishin kunai. Kushina made chakra chains and covered the cage as from her observation, the figure in front of them wanted to get to the Kyuubi and she wouldn't allow that. They knew they had very little time and they wanted to finish this quickly so that this person won't cause any trouble for Naruto when their time is up. Though his words made them curious. Hiraishin level 2. Raijin Kagura, Flying Thunder God level 2. Lightning God's Dance, Minato said, throwing his Hiraishin kunai at the shadow figure. Understanding the time for talk is over, Arashiki declared his intentions. I, Otsutsuki Arashiki, refuse to be defeated by you filthy humans, Arashiki yelled in rage. He is weak. He knew that. Generally, when a kama is implanted on a vessel, it takes time to develop, changing the vessel's genetic code to the Otsutsuki who gave it to them. This process takes at least a few weeks to start. Even a manifestation like this is unreal as the vessel's body needs time to get accustomed to the seal's presence on them. After the seal becomes familiar with the vessel, it starts the takeover process, slowly releasing small amounts of the Otsutsuki's power into the vessel's body to give them a go. OD taste of the power, and when the vessel is at its weakest, it activates, making them rely on the Otsutsuki power to get out of the situation. And thus the vessel gets enticed by the power, and the takeover fastens, completely drowning the vessel in the Otsutsuki's power, allowing the Otsutsuki to assert control easily when their soul takes over the body through reincarnation. This process takes years, as changing the genetics of a person without killing them is not easy and needs both time and chakra to complete. Momoshiki's vessel was very compatible and achieved months of progress in just weeks. He was surprised by Momoshiki's message but understood the practicality of it and jumped to make the Uzumaki Naruto his vessel. But he never thought he had to face these filthy vermin to get what he wanted. Though sensing the amount of chakra the boy already has, it needs more time than usual, as changing genetics means changing the chakra. He knew it was a small price to pay. He never thought the Yondaime, as the Kyuubi call him, is this smart man. He managed to halt the progress of the process by drawing him out into what he assumed was the sealing chamber of Naruto's mind. He knew he didn't have an option but to fight. He tried materializing his favorite weapon. But it didn't form. Just a small piece of thick red chakra stick formed in his hand instead of his majestic rod and hook. Though disappointed, he had to adjust with this and he prepared for the fight. Deep inside Naruto's soul, what is this disturbance? Did something happen? A lone figure thought as he tried to get a good grasp of what was going on. He is a tall man with a kind face and a left bang hanging to the side of his face. As he sat in a dark room, his other features remained hidden from view. Being the master of nature energy, he spread his senses across Naruto's body, bypassing all seals and marks. He sensed a disturbance to be a small diamond seal on Naruto's left palm and started digging deep into it. He can't go any deeper than just a few blue lines, which confused him for a second. Though he is a soul using Naruto's body as a host, he is not an ordinary one. He is Asura Otsutsuki, the second son of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, the sage of six paths. The father of modern-day shinobi and ninshu. Asura was with Naruto from the moment he was born nearly 13 years ago, and the bond they share is deeper than what Naruto shares with Kyuubi, one of Asura's brothers. Though Asura was in Naruto, he never tried to actively influence the Uzumaki, as Asura believed in the freedom of everyone and everything. He only tried helping Naruto when he was in deep depression or on the verge of accepting defeat. They are part of their shared traits after all. Even if he wants to, he can't influence Naruto, as the addition of his father's chakra is needed to bring his chakra out, as it is very deep in Naruto's soul. But just being in Naruto, he influenced Naruto by having a very strong and durable body, chakra and passive healing ability. Asura followed the blue lines. They led him to Naruto's mindscape, the level where the Kyuubi is sealed in Naruto. He saw a strange figure fighting whom he concluded was Naruto's well-wishers. The fire in the woman's eyes can't be mistaken for anything except a mother's love to protect her son. The determination in the man's eyes is the same as his father's. When he chose him over his brother, he decided to see how he could help and waited, unnoticed by anyone because of his subtle form. With Arashiki, you refuse to let me take over this body. Then do your worst. Arashiki said with a maniacal smile as he remembered something that these idiots don't know. Taking this as his cue, Minato used the second level of his Hiraishin, holding his kunai in a reverse grip, and attacked Arashiki at lightning speeds. As the reflexes of the Otsutsuki are well honed and Arashiki responded in time to avoid all attacks, he observed how they came too close to his comfort. You will not take over my Sochi. Kushina yelled with motherly fury, and one of the chains forming the barrier around the three of them hit the Wr.8th Otsutsuki on his head. He was so surprised by the sudden hit, he lost sight of the Yondaime. 8 tetragram, Kai Fuan. Minato said, slapping one of the strongest seals onto Arashiki. 8 tetragram seal is strong enough to seal both halves of Kyuubi in Naruto and him. The seal Minato used is a mix of 2 different seals, which needs a lot of chakra and precision. Minato had both, but Arashiki just laughed at him. You think this puny little seal will suppress me? You can't suppress an Otsutsuki. We are not Biju. We are very much more. We are gods, Arashiki said as the seal dispersed into ink and the effect Minato thought didn't take place. Asura sighed in disappointment. Looks like one more of the evil gods. He watched on. Arashiki kicked Minato hard, making him hit the barrier Kushina made hard. Minato. Kushina yelled and moved to nurse him. Minato felt his chakra deplete drastically and his body vanish very slowly. He can't leave things like this. He can't leave Naruto with this problem anymore. He already trusted Naruto to take care of Madara. But this new guy is far stronger and more knowledgeable than Madara. I have to end him, that's the only option. If I can't seal him, I'll dispense him like me. Making up his mind, Minato turned to Kushina sadly. I'm sorry for robbing you of your opportunity to see and talk to Naruto, Kushina. But the man in front of us is far more dangerous than the Madara we saw that day. I concluded that, but anything doesn't seem to affect him. He is fast, durable and can't be sealed easily. His resistance to the seal is concerning. Kushina replied, sharing his thoughts. That's why I want you to use that seal, Minato said, looking into Kushina's eyes honestly. That seal? Do you really want me to use it, Minato? You know how dangerous it is and what it takes to use that. Kushina asked him seriously. I have enough chakra to last for a few minutes at best, Kushina. But if we do this, we get enough to defeat him and erase him with us. I don't want to leave this burden on Naruto anymore, Minato said with a sad and genuine smile. Kushina was taken aback by Minato's words, but nodded and started making hand signs. Arashiki, though irritated, was interested in the conversation, as it helps him recover some chakra. Though it is not at the normal level he uses, he knows imparting Kama has its drawbacks and this is one of them. He didn't think he had to fight these 2 undying and unyielding roaches as soon as he started the takeover. And he implanted his Kama on the monster he and the Otsutsuki feared, respected for his sheer chakra reserves to boot. He doesn't have any source to take chakra from as he is locked in this stupid barrier. Even the chakra stick he managed to create couldn't break the barrier. If he had his hook and rod, he knew this barrier won't be a problem, but as it stands, he can't penetrate it. While the conversation between the couple threw Kyuubi into a loop. What are they talking about? What gives them enough power to defeat a foe like him? He racked his brain for a possible seal in his years of existence. He only drew blanks. Uzumaki Haijutsu, Shinigami Beishu, Uzumaki Hidden Jutsu, Death God Takeover, she called, biting her thumb and smearing the blood across her left palm. A cold silence fell in the semi-destroyed sewer as all parties waited anxiously for anything to happen. Kyuubi got a déjà vu as the same coldness fell upon him. It reminded him of the day he got sealed in Naruto. The day he lost half of himself. The day he didn't want to remember. When he looked up to see the Shinigami, there was none. Instead, Kushina got gray horns and red prayer beads with a small tanto in her hands, her hair turning into a lifeless white. Not giving in to the excruciating pain the takeover is causing, she slashed her stomach open, but no blood came. Instead, a blue misty figure came out and merged with Minato. I'm so sorry, Kushina. Truly sorry. But this is for Naruto, Minato said with a sad face. He saw a tear fall from her now red eyes with white irises. Kyuubi understood what was going on. Kushina summoned the Shinigami, but as she is a soul herself, instead of summoning, she allowed the Shinigami to take over her body and released if he felt it right, Minato's soul. He was flabbergasted by the scene in front of him. How much will they sacrifice for their son? They jumped in his way when he was about to pierce baby Naruto, dying themselves to save Naruto and now let the Shinigami take over to protect Naruto from this walking, El King Disaster of Otsutsuki. He was marveled by their love for Naruto and was captivated by their determination to protect him no matter what. Asura was very impressed by the parents' determination and love they held for his transmigrant and decided to give them a helping hand. He very subtly released a small amount of his yang chakra into Minato's and Kushina's bodies, relieving the strain they were putting on their body. He didn't want to influence the outcome of the fight as his father always taught of the balance of things, though not helping, in this case, means letting Naruto be taken over by this Otsutsuki, but he has to deal with Asura first to completely take over as they will technically be in one body. That's another matter he didn't want to think about. And his influence was possible in this case as the two people in question were souls and he can affect souls because of his inherent sage abilities. While Arashiki on the other hand is not amused. He felt that thing that took over the pest's body. It's not human. It has this strange cold feeling that made him rethink his actions. He jumped the first chance he got to marked Uzumaki Naruto, the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi. He knew that was a perfect choice and was sure of it just a moment ago. Now he can feel something big is going to happen and has fastened his chakra recovery. Minato and Kushina felt a bit relieved for some reason and they thanked their lucky stars for that. The strain they were putting on their shallow bodies by pushing the amount of time they had was hard enough, now the added strain of holding and getting back souls is super taxing. And so Minato turned to Arashiki with never-seen determination in his eyes as his hand glowed with a spiral sphere of chakra. "I'll end you now," he said and vanished from Arashiki's senses. Arashiki was a second too late to react as a large ball of chakra was slammed into his back, peeling layers of thick chakra that formed his shadowy body. "Why you?" Arashiki's rage-filled scream couldn't do anything as something vile mixed with the Rasengan Minato hit him with. "Blitz Rasengan," Minato proudly called. "I did what you asked me, Minato. Now it's time for farewell." A deep voice echoed through the destroyed sewer, surprising Kushina and Kyuubi, and shocking Arashiki as he slowly dispersed into the diamond seal he came from. It felt quite ironic to Arashiki. He is fighting in Uzumaki Naruto's mind for his body and yet, the blonde is nowhere to be seen. These two people, his parents, were unyielding and brought him to his knees at last. He can feel it, his chakra slowly depleting. "Guess I reached the limit of phase 1. He thought and disappointedly nodded at the irony. Now I know where Naruto got his persistence and stubbornness. He can see the two qualities in the two in front of him. As he knew this is not the last they saw of him and gave a satisfied smile. After all, it's very hard to get rid of an Otsutsuki. This is not the end for me. Were Black Arashiki's final words as his last traces merged with the Kama seal. Kyuubi was still speechless at the sudden turn of events and stared at Minato, wide-eyed. "Looks like it's the end for me," Minato said with a happy smile. "I can feel it too." Kushina agreed, tears slipping from her hollowed eyes. "I'm sorry that this has to happen, Kushina. But it's time for us to move on," Minato said and Kushina nodded in agreement. Asura was greatly moved by the events that took place and gave the couple an invisible blessing and moved back to the inner level of Naruto's soul. "Kyuubi, can you look after Naruto for us? This is as far as we can push," Minato asked the tailed beast. "We are going to be sealed in the Shinigami forever. So we won't be able to help Naruto anymore. Seeing today's ordeal, my Sochi needs your help more than ever," Kushina said, turning to him. One of her eyes returned to her normal purple while the other was still whitened. "You too, I'm speechless. I honestly don't have any words after what you did today. You have my respect," Kyuubi said after a moment of silence. The couple gave him a happy smile. "If it comes to the matter of Otsutsuki or any of that lot, Naruto will have my support. As for my respect, he has to earn it. You don't want him to live on your glory, do you?" he asked with a smile. "I'm sure he will grow up to be a great man and gain your respect, Kyuubi. Protect him for me," Kushina said, giving him the purest and happiest smile he ever saw on her face. "I'll do my best," Kushina. And Yondaime. Wa. Before he can finish his question, Minato started to disperse and Kushina followed a moment later. Looks like it's time for us. So long, Kyuubi. TT Ebane. They said as they vanished from the torn sewer and took the cold feeling with them. Ha. At least they managed to stop him for some time. Kyuubi sighed in relief. He can't imagine what would have happened if Minato didn't appear today. He doesn't want to be a tool for anybody. He said the same to Madara twice already. Coming back from those dark thoughts, he waited for his knucklehead Jinchuriki to wake up to see what changes the fight in the Kama if remembered what the Otsutsuki called it correctly will do to him. With Sasuke. That went well, Sasuke-san, Boruto said as they landed in the forests around Konoha. Yes, I'm glad that we didn't screw anything, Sasuke said, sighing in relief. Locking branch world, complete. The world is now sealed off. A new voice spoke out of nowhere and both shinobi went into a defensive stance. Who is there? Sasuke called. I'm here, the turtle in Sasuke's hand said, shaking himself to get some attention. Sasuke looked at him in surprise. You can talk? He asked incredulously. Yes, I'm perfectly capable of talking. The turtle said with what they thought was a smile. Then why didn't you talk till now? Boruto asked in surprise. I shouldn't talk when I'm being used as it may result in causing unnecessary problems. From his tone, they understood the turtle was male. Why is that? And what unnecessary problems will your talking cause? Sasuke prodded. My name is Karasuki. And the reason I shouldn't talk is that I'll tell the users when a world breaks off from the main timeline and forms a branch world, a separate world where the original timeline changes. It may or may not have the same set of circumstances and the same things may or may not happen in the future. Because of this uncertainty, some events that take place in the original timeline might turn out differently or might not happen entirely. This only affects the future of that branch world and not the past of that or this world, so that the damage is not two-way. Karasuki explained. So what you just saw? Sasuke stopped at the realization. Yes, a major change has occurred in that timeline, which made that world a branch world of this one. It is sealed off to not further change the events. It's a safety mechanism we possess. Sealing off branch universes so that they don't affect the present and whatever happens stays there and there alone. Karasuki said with a hint of pride. Sasuke was speechless. What happened? Where did he fail? What effects will it have on that world's future? Boruto just understood the full grasp of the situation and was stunned. This means, anyone, you, here even the Otsutsuki won't be able to travel to that world as it is locked from travel. Problem solved. Karasuki said happily. This made Sasuke speak. Can you tell me what changed in the timeline to cause this? He almost pleaded. Karasuki went into a thinking pose. As it is already locked, I don't see why not. It concerns the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. He said and gave a pause as if to recall what exactly happened. This made Sasuke and Boruto anxious. Naruto is closely related to both of them and anything concerning him is a life-changing issue to them. Boruto couldn't bear the tension and took Karasuki from Sasuke's hands. The contact made Karasuki shudder and seeing how this may adversely affect what they want, Sasuke immediately took back Karasuki. That's it. He got one of them. Karasuki yelled in terror. Sasuke and Boruto didn't understand what the turtle is pointing. It took them a second to see where he is pointing and both their eyes landed on Boruto's Kama. Their eyes almost popped out at how wide they widened. Naruto, Dad got Kama. They yelled in horror in unison. The echo of shock spread across the forest, disturbing the tranquility it previously held. Quick! Take us back there. Take us back there. Sasuke shook the turtle wildly. Take me to him, take me to him. Boruto yelled in all directions staring at the turtle. Stop. I can't take you. Karasuki yelled, trying to stop being shaken wildly. Why? They asked in desperation. That world is locked from outside access. No one from the outside world can go there to not further screw the timeline. He explained. But we just want to stop the damage. We don't want Naruto, Dad, to have a comma. Me having it is messed up already. They said in sync. I can't. I shut the world up with the rest of my power and sent the message to my fellow turtles to deny access to that world. I can't break my race laws. Kurotsuchi explained. We will give you as much chakra as you want if that is what you want. I'm sure the whole of Konoha will be willing to help us if it concerns Naruto. We must change this. Sasuke asked in desperation. I'm sorry, it's too late. Even if I want to, I can't. Performing such a task has already drained my life force. I'll be dispersed into my world to recover and be reborn elsewhere. This is why time travel is discouraged. You may unknowingly make a mistake that will screw entire timelines. Kurotsuchi said in a sad tone. How does this affect the Otsutsuki then? Sasuke asked, seeing the point the turtle was trying to explain. The Otsutsuki? Sasuke nodded. Only the people who were aware of our race will know what happened if they were in the immediate vicinity. If they are far aware, then they can only sense one of them, not me, not you or anything else. Kurotsuchi explained. Then how does this change their arrival into that world? Sasuke continued. It all depends on the choices that world's people make. They may come early. They may be late. It doesn't change this timeline. So none of my concern. Kurotsuchi said with a turtle shrug. One last question. How does this change the future events of that world? Quote, you didn't hear me the first time. The events that follow now might happen, might not happen. It all depends on the point of change. AKA Uzumaki Naruto. He yelled at the single-handed Uchiha. Sasuke got a smile at that. Thanks, Kurotsuchi. Thanks for your help and information. Take this chakra as part of my gratitude. Sasuke fed him a chakra pill and a satisfied turtle vanished in front of them. What's that for, Sasuke-san? We should help too, san. Boruto said in urgency. If it all depends on Naruto, I'm sure things will turn out good, Boruto, Sasuke said with a fond smile. Boruto was confused at that. Your father is unpredictable. That unpredictability made him what he is today. If that world's fate depended on Naruto, then it will turn out well. I don't doubt that, he elaborated. Seeing Boruto's confused face, he laughed. It is hard to understand. But this world's fate also always depended on Naruto. The choices he made echoed through the world at one point. See where we are. Enjoying peace, many living their dream, and many more lives out of danger. That world has a Naruto with a comma seal, that's it. It's the difference our Naruto has from that Naruto. He still has time to grow and I'm confident he will turn into a fine man like your father. So no worries. Let's report this to Naruto. Sasuke said, confusing the young Uzumaki even further. The part about Naruto having comma is our little secret. Never reveal that to anyone for our safety. It will cause unnecessary panic. Sasuke added and Boruto dumbly nodded. With Jiraiya. It's been a long night and Jiraiya had enough fun. He managed to sweet-talk the owner of the hot spring into opening up for him, which involved some secret volumes of Ika Ika and a promise to send him the first copy of this one. She is quite a looker and a big pervert as well. Jiraiya didn't know he had a large female fanbase as well. He always thought he was famous among the male populace. But it was a fruitful trip. After a farewell chit-chat with the beautiful woman, he left in search of his knucklehead student in fear of what else Naruto destroyed. Naruto got this destructive habit recently when they started on their training trip a few weeks ago from Konoha. He can still remember the day he ordered Naruto. Flashback. Okay, brat. I have 3 years to train you and I want you to become the strongest shinobi Konoha has ever seen. Jiraiya said with his head high. Ero Seni, Jiraiya gave Naruto a stern look at that. I mean, you bet, Jiraiya-sensei. Naruto agreed. And Naruto, don't hold back. I want to see you at your strongest every day. He said and Naruto gave him a big smile and thumbs up. And so started the destructive blonde's chaotic training. He started using everything with the highest amount of chakra he can push and most jutsu were overloaded. Though there are not many as Naruto didn't know many. He tried explaining to Naruto what he meant by strongest. But the stubborn blonde didn't listen to him and stuck to the strongest he meant at the beginning of his training. Seeing the futility of it, he gave up, chiding Naruto when he pushed too far. Flashback end. Naruto, you moron, wake up already. It's high noon. Jiraiya yelled and it didn't change anything. He tried punching Naruto but the blonde changed position at the same moment and he hit the hard ground. Guess that's the only way, Jiraiya said and pulled out an instant ramen cup and poured some hot water and waited for 3 minutes. Soon he saw the cup puff out and opened it and started eating. The delicious smell of ramen hit Naruto's nostrils. Ramen. How bad I missed you. I'm coming for you, wait for me. Naruto exclaimed and jumped towards Jiraiya as he instinctively knew where ramen was. Ha! You can't catch it, brat. I tied you up. Jiraiya was surprised to see Naruto pull the ramen cup out of his hands and started devouring it with his trademark horrendous table manners. Did he just grow? Jiraiya scratched his head. Naruto is one of the short boys in his class and he didn't grow much in the past 6 or so months he was out of the academy. Jiraiya measured his height just to measure his growth after the training trip and from the angle he took it out of Jiraiya's hands, he is at least 2 inches taller as he is 2 inches away from the blonde's height. Sudden growth spurt. Jiraiya thought for a moment. Hey brat. Ha. How about you try and catch this as well? Jiraiya said, pulling out another ramen cup. Naruto eagerly nodded, swallowing the remaining noodles and lunged towards the new one. Jiraiya moved an inch back and Naruto still got it. He continued swallowing the new pack as well. This made Jiraiya curious. He thought of making a thorough body check and allowed Naruto to eat as much as he want. After Naruto happily butchered table manners and ate 17 more cups, Jiraiya got to work. Naruto emptied his emergency stock of ramen in case there is a need for them. Jiraiya pulled all the tools he needed for all his tests for Naruto. Naruto came out of his ramen trance after filling his stomach and turned to Jiraiya with a satisfied smile. Now walk a few meters here and stand in this circle, Jiraiya said, and though Naruto didn't understand why he need to walk, he did so without any complaint. Understanding Naruto's metabolism, which is faster than normal shinobi, Jiraiya made him walk so that all the ramen he ate doesn't affect the tests the pervert is going to make. Though he is a super pervert, he has a keen eye for attention to detail and knows the blonde like an open book. His experience with the blonde's parents only helped. Don't move until I further say so, Jiraiya said and Naruto nodded. He stood there with a satisfied smile while Jiraiya measured him. What's this? He grew by at least 3 inches. That too overnight. Jiraiya thought in surprise and got his final measurements when Naruto moved, trying to scratch an itch he couldn't control. Naruto, don't move. Jiraiya chided. I'm trying. Arrow Senin, Naruto complained but stretched to scratch a bit too far and they both heard a ripping sound. What's that? Naruto asked in surprise. It felt way too familiar to one of those ripping sounds he got when his shadow clones ganged up on his bed. He doesn't like that sound. It's like a stretching sound. I think your shirt is torn. Jiraiya said with a thinking pose and inspected Naruto's clothes to see all the threads loose at his arms. Where? Naruto asked and lifted his hand to search only for the shirt to completely tear apart. Quote. Why did you think that's the best idea to go about it again? Jiraiya asked and Naruto looked away in embarrassment. Anyway, let's see. You grew 3.33 inches over the night and now stand at 5.3, instead of your short height of 4.11. Your body seemed to bulk up as well. Interesting occurrences if you ask me. So this helps me catch Sasuke? Naruto asked and Jiraiya gave him an exasperated look. It pained him to see his past self in Naruto. You can if you follow everything I say. He said with a widening smile. He doesn't want his godson to be another him in the future. He will do anything to avoid that. He knew they didn't do much in the time they started from Konoha and all he did was peek around while Naruto did his thing with the Rasengan. thinking of all that broke a part of himself. He is neglecting Naruto for a long time, since Minato's and Kushina's death to be exact. He didn't want his vulnerability to come out and be taken as a sign of weakness. As a spy and from previous experience, he knew how dangerous a vulnerability can be leveraged. So he hid his fatherly, loving and caring side when he was with Minato and Kushina. He didn't even show a fraction of that to Naruto, though the poor kid thought the opposite when he greeted him and agreed to train him as he grew up without any of it. He doesn't want his fate for Naruto. He doesn't want Naruto to be another him. A successful failure. A failure who failed to bring back his friend from the other side. A failure who couldn't protect his loved ones. A failure who couldn't express his love to the woman he loved. He still remembers the day he heard of the brat. "Sensei, Kushina is pregnant," Minato said excitedly when he walked in. "And we decided to name him Naruto." Kushina, a woman that despises his perverseness with her entire being, said with a happy smile. He was speechless. He was honored with many things in his life for his achievements, but never he felt like he achieved something that gave him more honor than this. "We love the hero in your book, Sensei, and want our son to be like him. Will you be his godfather?" Minato asked, to which Kushina nodded. The smile they gave brightened his life. Seeing what Naruto had become stung his heart too much. He didn't his training seriously. At that moment he decided. His godson will be the strongest student he ever trained, surpassing his father. He can do it. He is Jiraiya, the Gamma Sennin after all. He is Jiraiya, a master spy. He is Jiraiya, the strongest of the Sannin. He is Jiraiya, the greatest. Arrow Sennin, Naruto called, interrupting Jiraiya's self-motivating pep talk. He turned to the ignorant blonde with his eye twitching. "What do you think happened for this change to happen?" he asked innocently. The genuine question made gears turn in Jiraiya's brain. Though he can't figure, as only Tsunade can give an accurate assessment in his opinion, he decided to satiate Naruto. "It's ramen, right? I know Datbeo," Naruto exclaimed excitedly. This time Jiraiya's eye fully twitched. "No, you knucklehead. I was about to say something, but you have to go and ruin it with your ramen." Jiraiya huffed. He turned to give Naruto another earful and saw the blonde running around with empty ramen cups he just ate, worshipping them madly. Though his experienced eyes also noticed something. Naruto is running at low Junin speed with ease, and Jiraiya can see him easily reach high Junin speeds with ease. This pace as the blonde is a stamina freak. That's when he observed something else. The path the headless chicken ran has stomp marks on them, as if a lot of pressure was applied to them. These many changes in a night seemed too good to be true for a growth spurt. "Maybe I should." Jiraiya started seriously when a beautiful woman passing on the road disturbed him, and he went with the flow. While Naruto is still running around with his ramen cups. These changes are not half bad. If only that damn pervert trained this brat right. Kyuubi thought in interest. His wait has resulted in a favorable outcome. In his mindless running, Naruto rammed into a senseless Jiraiya who is ogling the beautiful woman in front of him, and the crash resulted in the tall Sannin being thrown into the forest, crashing into many trees. "Arrow Sennin?" Naruto asked in surprise as he couldn't find the white-haired pervert. Hearing the name, the woman laughed uncontrollably and continued on her way. What the hell, Naruto?" Jiraiya said in pain. The situation reminded him of when Guy kicked him during his encounter with Itachi. He walked towards Naruto, rubbing his head to ease the pain. "Oops. Sorry, Arrow Sennin," Naruto said with a sheepish smile. Jiraiya looked up with anger but realized something. His angry face turned to a smirking one. "Naruto, I've decided on your training," he said with his chest swelling out in pride. Naruto eagerly waited for his answer with rapt attention. "Endurance training," Jiraiya yelled with boisterous laughter. Naruto fell face first into the ground. "Naruto, I've decided on your training," Jiraiya said with his chest swelling out in pride. Naruto eagerly waited for his answer with rapt attention. "Endurance training," Jiraiya yelled with boisterous laughter. Naruto fell face first into the ground. Jiraiya laughed even louder when he saw Naruto fall face first. His words. He knew all Kakashi did with Team 7 was survival training and Naruto was fed up with the thing. But he had different plans for the blonde. While Kakashi's focus was to build teamwork and bond them together, his goal is to make Naruto the strongest of his students. And so he lifted the dramatic blonde who wasn't showing any signs of waking up. Well, Naruto, I thought of giving you this supreme limited pack of ramen if you did what I told you to do. I'm happy that I'm going to eat it alone. He said and paused. The usual standing up straight with puppy dog eyes and looking around for the bone didn't happen. Jiraiya was genuinely surprised. Ramen is something Naruto won't compromise on. He goes to any lengths to get it. And so no response from the blonde surprised the white-haired senin. He saw a lone eye open up as if searching for something. Understanding that Naruto wanted proof, Jiraiya dangled a red pack. Even then there is no immediate reaction. After a minute, Naruto stood up from Jiraiya's hands and snatched off the pack and stored it, at least tried to store it in his pockets, but due to his increased strength, it failed. He looked up at a laughing Jiraiya in annoyance. Naruto, really? You thought of storing it in your pocket? Your ripped pocket? Jiraiya laughed. Though Naruto is annoyed, getting new clothes excited him. Arrow Jiraiya-sensei, I want new clothes and maybe supplies as well. I can't move around like this. Naruto said, almost tearing up. The jumpsuit was with him for so long to leave it like this and he can't carry it around as well, which only deteriorates it even further. Yes, Naruto. Let's buy you new clothes and equipment. Follow me. Jiraiya said and both of them went into town, this time to buy new clothes for Naruto. In Konoha. It's a beautiful morning in Konoha and people are up to their usual activities except for one. The Godime Hokage, Senju Tsunade, is shocked. Shocked that she received a report from Jiraiya. Jiraiya of all people, which didn't have anything about her bust or his books. Hey Haim, I know this sounds surprising and kinda sudden, but something happened to Naruto. Don't panic, it's not anything bad. At this, he drew a picture of Naruto running like a headless chicken. He is well, or should I say too well. Today I woke to a surprise as Naruto grew taller, stronger and somewhat sensible. Here are his current stats. Name: Uzumaki Naruto. Age 13 m. Height 5 feet 3 inches. Weight: I forgot to measure. Speed: low to high Junin. Strength: easily crushing rocks with fingers. Punch power: will definitely give me a nosebleed, no pun intended. Dashing strength: that headless chicken rammed into me and trust me, it's nasty. I was thrown into the forest and broke some trees. I don't know what happened, Haim. I thought of all possibilities including Kyuubi. But I didn't sense any of its chakra leaking out. I don't know if it's something even Kyuubi can do. It has super fast healing, but even that was enhanced. It's hard that he even gets injured. But if he does, it's sealing up super fast. You know the vein cutting, yeah, that one you imagined. I tried that with all precautionary measures and you know what happened. The knife broke. I tried with the sharpest kunai I have. It managed to cut and the cut healed up so fast I didn't believe my eyes. Naruto didn't feel a thing. I tried it again and this time it managed to convince me. I collected the very few blood drops that managed to drop out and they are in Gamataro's mouth. She looked up from the letter to the toad that brought the letter to her and it opened up its mouth and carefully drive. Opt a small blood vial in her hands. Tsunade scanned the contents. For any normal eye, the blood may look normal or a bit darker. But for a trained medic like Tsunade, she saw how thick the blood is and the density of it. It's astounding. They had a few drops of Naruto's blood from when he became a shinobi, as it is mandatory to have blood samples of all shinobi in the village in case of identification or emergencies. The differences between them are phenomenal. While one is calm and has a greater regeneration rate, the other is very active and has a very low regenerative rate. This means one of two things. The blood cells stop dividing, or they are so dense and strong that they don't need to divide often. As an expert in cell division and having the Byakugo no In, she knew how blood division and regeneration work. As a descendant of Uzumaki and Senju, she has moderately thick blood with a low to mid regeneration rate. Naruto's current cells are even more advanced than hers and she can see them deteriorating already. They can't be active out of their body for long as the circumstances for their survival change. She didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Happy that her favorite blonde has such advanced blood, or sad that he doesn't know the complexities that come with it. But she knew one thing. If she can blindly trust someone with a goal, it will be Naruto. She knows he will be fine after all this and will meet her when he comes back from the training trip. She continued to read the pervert's message. If you are out of the blonde's trance, then I'm going to make him the strongest of my students on this trip. Be ready to greet us at the entrance gate, Harem. Maybe I can get into those 2 mounds if I achieve this. Jiraiya drew his excited and nose-bleeding face here. Now I need to buy this taller blonde new clothes and equipment. That's it, Harem. Your favorite pervert. Tsunade didn't get angry at the last part. She got a fond smile and nodded to the toad who vanished in a puff of smoke. The day brightened for the Hokage after that. With Naruto. For the first time in his life, Naruto bought everything he liked without any limitations. He doesn't need to adjust and the feeling was refreshing, to say the least. He tried new colors, new designs and new types of clothes. Jiraiya also insisted on buying multiple pairs of clothes he liked. Finally, when it came to billing, the pervert didn't tell him to pay. Instead paid it himself. You think I'm joking about training you? He asked with a wide smile. The attire consists of black pants and a black sleeveless long shirt accented with gray boots and white stripes respectively. His arms have black detached long sleeves with orange highlights at the top as well as an orange collar piece around his neck. A red belt was also attached by Jiraiya if Naruto wants to learn Kenjutsu in future, as it serves as a sword holder. Overall, his new attire is completely in contrast to his old one with more black and gray than white and orange in it. Jiraiya loved the mysterious look it gave off and jumped as soon as Naruto loved it. He also bought many casual wares and different mesh armors for the blonde. After the change of clothes, they moved to a shinobi supply store and Jiraiya bought the whole store to train Naruto. He is very serious about his vow and he knows he can, and Naruto has the potential as well. Jiraiya-sama, that's a million ryo. The store owner said with shocked eyes. He never thought someone would buy all the weapons he had in one day, and it's a bittersweet moment for him. Here, Jiraiya said and handed him a check. Naruto was staring at Jiraiya as if he grew a second head. With a laugh, Jiraiya dragged the blonde out of the store. After they moved into a large clearing, Jiraiya started to unseal all the weapons and books he bought, which made Naruto gulp as he has. This funny feeling. Well, Naruto, looks like we are set. Let's get started with your training. Jiraiya said with a serene smile. Naruto couldn't look underneath as he didn't think this is endurance training, in any shape or form. Jiraiya's smile widened. He knew what the blonde was thinking. I know. All these books and weapons set up don't seem like endurance. But let me tell you what endurance means. To withstand any unpleasant or difficult process or situation without giving way. Jiraiya loved Naruto's reaction. Whaattr. Naruto yelled. His face turned ghost white as he was flabbergasted by the implications. Jiraiya took a photo of that and turned serious. Don't worry. I'll make it easier for you. Make a shadow clone, he said. He only got a blank look from the blonde. Do it. Jiraiya stressed and Naruto immediately made one. The shadow clone gave an unimpressed look at Jiraiya only to get hit by a book to the head from behind by a Jiraiya clone. What the hell, Ero-sen? Naruto said in pain as he turned to Jiraiya's clone that stood behind them with a smirk. Jiraiya saw the gears change in Naruto's mind. Wait a second. I didn't see him or wasn't hurt. Then how did I know he threw a book at me? He thought and checked his surroundings for his clone. It isn't there. Wait. No. 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 Naruto yelled in realization. Yes. Yes. Yes SS. Jiraiya nodded in agreement. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto made 10 clones. All of them threw books at each other, poofing out of existence. Though the books didn't damage him much, he was damaged by the realization of how senselessly he used the clones till now. Naruto, Jiraiya called, putting his hand on Naruto's shoulder in consolation. He knew how hard it would be for the blonde. All this time he can make them with ha 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 ha. Jiraiya heard uncontrolled laughter and turned to the blonde who couldn't stop himself from laughing. Naruto, Jiraiya called in concern. You just revealed to me the greatest secret in the world, Jiraiya-sensei, Naruto said between his laughs. Jiraiya was surprised. What do you mean by that? I meant this, Naruto said, and with a familiar cross sign, hundreds of clones came into existence. I'm ready for any training you put me through, Naruto said with determined eyes. Jiraiya understood what Naruto meant, and with a cross sign of his own, 5 of his clones came into existence. Well then, let me start your endurance training, Jiraiya said, and each clone took 100 of Naruto's clones and each started on a different thing. The originals are together going through all the books Jiraiya brought while each of the clones with Jiraiya's clones started training. Naruto didn't complain about reading too much as with his clones and started going through the hundreds of books Jiraiya brought with him. The books varied from normal geographical maps to history and some normal shinobi techniques that are used in regular shinobi missions. It also has a basic introduction to elements and all the hand signs. Jiraiya is serious about training Naruto and so pulled all stops and didn't compromise on what he wants his godson to know. Jiraiya's clone 1 and his batch of Naruto's clones started working on Naruto's chakra control, and all clones started tree climbing and water walking. The old pervert also added his touch to make it as hard as possible. The second clone and his battalion of clones started with their favorite Rasengan. Jiraiya started teaching all the varieties of the spiral sphere along with trying to make Naruto use NLY one hand for it. The third clone and his batch of clones started working on elements as Jiraiya didn't want to delay his strongest student's growth and so took out the chakra paper. Okay Gaki, one of you come forward and channel your chakra into this, Jiraiya said, and proceeded to explain about different chakra natures and how it reacts to the paper. One of the clones moved forward and channeled his chakra into the paper. The unthinkable happened. The paper split into 4 parts and each showed a reaction to one element. Jiraiya stared at the paper. He was so shocked, the clone dispelled as it reminded him of a painful memory he wanted to bury. The original turned to the original blonde in front of him. Naruto, channel your chakra into this, Jiraiya demanded, and the confused blonde did as told. The reaction this time is more intense compared to the prior one. The paper almost ripped to shreds but still showed an affinity to all 5 basic elements. Jiraiya looked up at Naruto in surprise. A similar young boy appeared beside Naruto. The one who had purple eyes with black rings in them. The one he assumed to be the child of prophecy. The one he knew was dead. Sensei, what happened? Naruto asked, shaking the large man. A stray tear fell out of Jiraiya's eye. I'm fine. I saw the chakra paper react like that once before. That's it, he said, trying to shrug it off. Though unconvinced, Naruto didn't prod. Well brat, looks like you have all 5 elements. You know what that means. Jiraiya said with a smirk, his eyebrows wiggling. Naruto's smirk could have scared Orochimaru if he saw it. You bet I do. Naruto nodded and the duo started planning on many things they could do now. They concluded with Naruto learning all elements simultaneously, and Jiraiya made 2 shadow clones to instruct the batch of 100 on basic elemental training. The 4th clone was surprised by the memories but continued to oversee the 50 taijutsu spars that are going in front of him with a hawk gaze as he want to assess how abysmal Naruto's taijutsu is. Though he trained it to a somewhat better stage during the Chunin exams, it was not the main concentration back then, and so he watched on, concluding how hard he needed to train Naruto and what style he should train in. Clone 5 decided to teach Naruto concentration and meditation as the blonde is too active and rushes into things for his own good. It's always sheer stamina that he wins most of his battles, and Jiraiya doesn't want his strongest student like that. And so began the training of Uzumaki Naruto to be the strongest student of Jiraiya, the Gamma Sennin. Unknown location. In an unknown location, 9 rainbow silhouettes can be seen standing in the middle of a dark cave, looking at each other. Their attires and faces are indistinguishable from the rainbow colors. Report, called one of them, and another started replying. Things look calm in all nations. Kyuubi Jinchuriki started on a training trip, while Orochimaru developed an interest in Uchiha Sasuke and took him under his wing. Said a figure in 2 tones. While the former was cheerful and childlike, the latter was cold and serious. It was a figure distinguished by the 2 Venus flytrap-like extensions that emerged from their sides, enveloping their head and upper body as a shell, which they were able to open and close. At the mention of Sasuke, a lone Sharingan eye opened impassively, looking at others. Who is accompanying the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? The person asked again in the same authoritative tone. Does it matter? I can play with them with my art. Another silhouette who stood at the right of the authoritative figure spoke. Shut up, Deidara, the one beside him who is considerably shorter than Deidara said in annoyance. Jiraiya, came the reply in 2 tones after the 2 feet artists. Drama ended. If that's the case, we can't make any reckless moves. We'll focus our efforts on collecting money and start hunting for the Biju once we have enough money piled up. Quote, we have enough money to take down a small nation. Do we still need more? Another asked. Yes, Kakuzu. We need more. Why is none of your concern? The apparent leader said in a dismissive tone. As long as it's money, you will have me, Kakuzu said with a smile, though it was hidden by his moss. Ga. We haven't found a sacrifice for Jashin-sama yet. The one beside Kakuzu said in frustration. Banter started between them. I do have some other news. The darker half of the fly trap said, and everyone silenced to hear what it had to say. Which is? The leader asked. I sensed a disturbance in a forest a few days ago. Though I can't find anyone when I reach there, I think it will be a concern for us, it said. Everyone was surprised. Zetsu is their lead tracking and reconnaissance expert. It had never failed with its information. If it says whatever this is will be a concern for them, then they will trust it. We will deal with it when it faces us. If that's all, I want you all to continue on your current missions. We will gather again when needed. The leader said and vanished. One by one, everyone vanished except Kisame, who vanished, giving one last look at Zetsu. Only Zetsu remained after everyone left. Is it that traumatic? A deep voice asked from the shadows in the room. I never imagined I would come across a chakra like that. The dark half replied. Interesting. Keep an eye out for it. Maybe it would be helpful to us. He said and vanished. As if it will help any of us. The dark half thought and merged into the ground. Time skip. Many months later. It's been many months since Jiraiya started training Naruto seriously, and the results were more than fruitful. Right now, they are in their final spar. You've improved a lot, Naruto, Jiraiya said, a bit out of breath. They started with taijutsu as Jiraiya thought it would be physically advantageous to him. How wrong he was. Though he knew Naruto's stamina, he didn't imagine Naruto's physical prowess was this strong as well. What's up, sensei? You seem out of breath. Naruto asked with a smirk. Damn you, Gaki. As if you could make me out of breath. Jiraiya said with fake confidence and started making hand signs for his favorite jutsu. Tiger right pointing arrow, horse right pointing arrow, boar right pointing arrow, ram right pointing arrow, rat right pointing arrow, snake. Hari Jizo, needle shell. Jiraiya's hair hardened and formed a shell of spikes, which are as sharp as metallic weapons. His hair also grew long enough to wrap around him, serving as armor. Don't you think I know the weakness of that jutsu, sensei? Naruto asked as he caught Jiraiya's feet dug out of the ground and jumped with the large man in hand. Large compared to normal people, that is. Have fun, he said, throwing the old sage into the forest with a large thud. Jiraiya continued breaking trees, and after breaking more, he poofed out. Look at who is copying whom. Naruto said with a chuckle and turned in time to block a punch from Jiraiya. You should be faster than that, sensei, Naruto said and gutted Jiraiya. Now your substitution is not in time, is it? Naruto asked as Jiraiya groaned in pain. Poof. Just as they wanted to continue, in a puff of smoke, two toads appeared. Jiraiya-chan, it's time. The green toad spoke. Already? Jiraiya asked as he sat upright. Naruto, meet Ma and Pa. Elder toads of Mount Myoboku, Jiraiya said, fully recovering from the initial pain. Naruto bowed to the elders in respect. Looks like I couldn't show you my full power, brat. Now let's pack, we are leaving. He said with a proud smile. Leaving where? Naruto asked in confusion. Being a Sannin and a spy master, Jiraiya took Naruto on a spree of A and B rank missions during his tea. Reigning which the blonde aced. They were like small fries for him with his current strength. Tsunade was very joyful when she saw all the completed mission labels in her office. Now after more than 2 years of the start of the training trip, it's time for Naruto to learn the last step of his trainin'. Don't question, Gaki. Just follow me. Jiraiya said and Naruto nodded and stood beside Pa and Ma who sat on Jiraiya's shoulders. It's finally time, Minato. Your son made us all proud. Now he is in the last leg and I'm confident he can master it. Jiraiya thought a tear slipping from his eyes in joy. Naruto knew what Mt. Myoboku is. It's the land of toads. The place where they live. But he couldn't figure out why he is being taken there, yet he is sure that it was for further training. With that excited thought in mind, he eagerly waited. While the toad elders stared at the blonde boy. The boy on whose shoulders everything depended. Whose actions have more severe consequences than anyone knows. Whose decisions will shape the world they are in. They can still remember that day. The day everything changed. The day the great toad sage remembered a name. The day when the change took place. The day on which the fate was sealed. As they prepared to leave, Naruto couldn't help but ask for the umpteenth time. Don't question, Gaki. Just follow me. Jiraiya said and Naruto nodded and stood beside Pa and Ma who sat on Jiraiya's shoulders. It's finally time, Minato. Your son made us all proud. Now he is in the last leg of his training and I'm confident he can master it. Jiraiya thought a tear slipping from his eyes in joy. Naruto knew what Mt. Myoboku was. It's the land of toads. The place where they live. But he couldn't figure out why he is being taken there, yet he is sure that it was for further training. With that excited thought in mind, he eagerly waited. While the toad elders stared at the blonde boy. The boy on whose shoulders everything depended. Whose actions have more severe consequences than anyone knows. Whose decisions will shape the world they are in. They can still remember that day. The day everything changed. The day the great toad sage remembered a name. The day when the change took place. The day on which fate was sealed. Flashback. Shima and Fukasaku were urgently summoned by the great elder, Gamamaru, to his quarters and they quickly made their way there even though Shima was not thrilled. Why can't I be left alone when I'm cooking? She thought grumpily. They stood respectfully in front of Gamamaru, though a bit grumpy in Shima's case, as Gamamaru slowly jerked awake from his sleep. What's it? He asked, looking around lost. Then suddenly, yes, have you heard about the child of prophecy and the seal of fate? He croaked in a low tone. Fukasaku and Shima each looked at each other. We have heard about the child of prophecy from Jiraiya-chan, but this seal of fate, we haven't. What is it about, great elder? Fukasaku asked respectfully. He knew the great elder was alive for more than millennia and saw many things and is not one to summon them for something futile. Only if his wife can understand that. I wasn't sure about it a few moments ago, but now, I'm certain. This is about Uzumaki Naruto, the young shinobi from Konoha. He is the child of prophecy who will bring about the end of the world, either positively or negatively. Gamamaru said in a low tone. That sounds very ominous, geezer. What makes Naruto-chan so special? Shima questioned impatiently. Though Fukasaku disapproves of Shima's disrespect, he is curious to know as well. Yes, the child, Naruto, was born and was burdened with Kyuubi. But the seal I'm talking about now is far superior to that and from the long-forgotten members of an ancient clan. Ancient clan. Can you name them? Fukasaku asked in interest. It's rare for Gamamaru to be serious about many things and remember as much due to his age and experience, but Fukasaku felt this as a matter of utmost concern. It's. Gamamaru started, Fukasaku and Shima inching closer to not miss it only for the older toad to fall asleep immediately before he said anything. Fukasaku and Shima sighed. It's always like this with this old geezer, Shima said in frustration. Don't demean him, Ma, Fukasaku said, chastising Ma. It sounds like Naruto's journey is not an easy one. Do you think he'll be able to fulfill the prophecy and bring peace to the world? He asked Ma. It's difficult, but I have faith in Mo's child. Whether he succeeds or fails, his journey will be one that will be remembered for generations to come. Gamamaru suddenly spoke and before they could ask him something again, went to sleep. Let's bring him here and train. Pa finally said, unable to bear the silence and suspense. Ma nodded her agreement. Flashback end. And so, they began Naruto's training in MT. Myoboku under the careful guidance of Toad Elders, Shima and Fukasaku and the watchful eye of Jiraiya, who despite his protests was forced to oversee Naruto's training. Knowing Naruto better, Jiraiya brought some ramen packs as a last resort as he knew how attached the blonde became to them irrespective of his growth. Time skip. 3 months later. When Naruto first came, the Toads checked for everything Jiraiya reported about Naruto's training in progress. Confirming it to be true, they proceeded to search for the second seal on Naruto's body Gamamaru mentioned but didn't find any seal. So they moved on with testing Naruto's capabilities. Naruto won in a wrestling match with Gamabunta, the chief summon, and was able to outrun Gamataro, their fastest messenger toad, and was able to easily defeat Jiraiya in many mock spars. They couldn't believe how strong the 15-year-old boy was. And so he was trained in the basics and advanced techniques of toads, from frog kumite to partial and complete body transformation to a toad. Naruto observed how his appearance as a toad is different from others, with squiggly orange lines across his body with odd tomos and circles around him. He didn't mind them much as it only made him look cool. Obviously, he's going to kick Sasuke Tensei when he meets him. Datbeo. Though he had grown physically and strength-wise, his mind was still of the knucklehead, however much Jiraiya tried to make him pass that phase. He decided to pause his attempts to make Naruto mature for the time being as Ma and Pa shared the latest prophecy the Great Told Elder shared with them and focused more on mastering his own sage mode, and after 3 months of non-stop effort, here they are. Naruto stood in front of them, facing the mountain, gazing up at the lush greenery and oil falls that cascaded down its rocky face. He was just told that he is going to learn sage mode and his excitement knew no bounds. He saw over the months how Jiraiya did his best to complete his sage mode, and though the blonde wanted to try it then, he was forbidden by Ma and Pa, the elders saying the Kyuubi may escape if he does now, and though disappointed, Naruto relented. Now as they have the support of another sage in Jiraiya, they are willing to give it a shot, and so they all assembled in front of the Toad Oil Falls, the starting place of Senjutsu training. Are you ready, Naruto-chan? Pa asked, looking up at Naruto with his large, bulbous eyes. I'm more ready than ever, Datbeo. Naruto replied, his excitement evident in his voice. Good, Pa said, patting Naruto on the back. But remember, Senjutsu is not something to be taken lightly. It requires intense concentration, focus, and discipline. Naruto nodded, taking a deep breath to steady himself. He knows that this is going to be tough, but he is determined to succeed. After all, Jiraiya Sensei promised to make Naruto his best student, and Naruto is going to do his best to achieve that. Ma and Pa led Naruto up the winding path that snaked its way up the mountain, pointing out various landmarks and explaining their significance as they went. Jiraiya silently followed them. Finally, They reached a small clearing at the top of the mountain, surrounded by tall trees and overlooking a breathtaking view of the valley below filled with cold gray rocks of many toads. This is where we'll be training, Ma said, gesturing to the area around them. You will meditate here for many hours a day, every day until you can fully grasp Senjutsu, and once that's done, we will guide you on how to maintain it. She explained in her lecture mode. Naruto nodded, sitting on the ground and closing his eyes. As Ma instructed, he tried to focus his mind, but his thoughts kept wandering, and he found it hard to concentrate. Ma and Pa watched him for a few moments, then exchanged a knowing look. Naruto-chan, try absorbing the natural chakra around you, Pa told the boy to make him understand how hard the senjutsu is to absorb so that he can focus better. Naruto followed and used his chakra to observe where the senjutsu was. Unknown to him, Naruto released a small pulse of his chakra into his surroundings to sense where the senjutsu was, and feeling the highly saturated chakra around him, he wondered if this is senjutsu chakra. As the Kyuubi with two toads and a human observed, Naruto pulled the saturated chakra around him into his body through the tenketsu in his body, and for a second, he felt the darkness in front of him flicker into a bright colorful landscape of kaleidoscope, filled with myriad range of colors full of life. Naruto is taken back by the rich colors around him and yearned to see it again, unconsciously absorbing large amounts of senjutsu into him. Seconds turned minutes and minutes turned hours as Ma and Pa waited for Naruto to show any signs of exhaustion or overcharged with senjutsu, but there was no sign of it. In Naruto's mindscape, the Kyuubi wearily observed the Kama seal as the abundant senjutsu chakra started to pour into it. Initially, the Kyuubi used the chance to refill his chakra reserves a bit, his newest brainchild, and so dragged the senjutsu chakra into Naruto's mindscape. But he didn't expect the Kama seal to adapt to the senjutsu chakra around it, and it started to pull from the chakra the Kyuubi dragged, and slowly increasing its share to a large chunk and finally taking over the full senjutsu chakra into it after hours of starting. Knowing better than making its enemy stronger, the Kyuubi released a potent wave of its chakra, disrupting Naruto's concentration, and cutting him off from absorbing more senjutsu. On the outside, unaware of the implications, Ma and Pa jumped back with Jiraiya coming to the front to their defense. A potent wave of Kyuubi's chakra got released from Naruto after hours of continuous absorption. With Naruto, while the blonde is clueless about everything going on and enjoyed the peace and tranquility the senjutsu is giving him, he began moving his chakra around and changing it to the elements he can use when he felt a sudden stomach ache, like his stomach is burning, disturbing his tranquil state. He fell down, clutching his stomach in pain. Naruto screamed in agony as chakra burst out of him in all directions. Though they wanted to help, the sages couldn't bear the vileness of the red and purple chakra that's been released from Naruto and had to run to take cover as a strong chakra shockwave shook the mountain. Few minutes earlier, Naruto's mindscape. You will not harm Naruto, Kyuubi said in rage as it observed a dark form rising from the diamond in front of him. Tisk! You foolish beast! You cannot stop me like last time those two humans did. I have control over this boy's chakra now. Dark Arashiki said with a malicious smirk. I will never let you take control. I will fight you with everything I have. As if that changes anything. But I'll let you amuse me. Don't think I am as weak as last time, he said as a red hook and rod formed in his hand, making his face cackle in mad glee. Kyuubi remembered the black mass last time shouting something about his weapon, and he decided to be weary. Arashiki unleashed his chakra, and Kyuubi from inside the cage met it with all his strength. The mindscape shook as the two potent chakras clashed, unleashing waves of chakra that threatened to tear it apart. For all the chakra you got, you are still locked up and can be suppressed. Arashiki mocked. Kyuubi's eyes widened at that. That's what's stopping him. He forcefully brought Naruto into the mindscape, making him tear the seal. He knew that Yondaime would have planned something for a case like this, and he was proven right. Time froze for a second, Arashiki's mocking smirk still on his lips as everything came to a standstill. Kyuubi, I'm entrusting Naruto to you. Minato's voice echoed as the cage opened. A pair of Rinnegan flashed and Arashiki broke the frozen time. You can't hide anything from my eyes, you senseless beast, Arashiki said as his Rinnegan bled, closing off. Damn it, I can't completely access them. Arashiki screamed in his mind. For one claiming to be strong, you sure are weak, Kyuubi said with a smirk as he walked out of the cage and stood in front of Naruto protectively. The blonde was in a daze as he lost control of both his body and chakra. Arashiki got enraged by the sheer audaciousness of the beast and decided to put an end to this. Your determination is admirable, beast. But it will not save you. He said, his Byakugan activating with his favorite hook and rod in hand. They both ran towards each other and clashed in the middle, Kyuubi not holding anything back. Arashiki easily matched all of Kyuubi's attacks with his hands and rod. But Kyuubi managed to dodge the hook attacks with grace, avoiding his chakra being stolen. The senjutsu chakra they absorbed pushing them. Kyuubi used everything at his disposal, physical strength, wind and fire jutsu, and going as far as firing a few bijudama at Arashiki. Arashiki easily deflected or caught them but was unable to absorb them as he still couldn't access his Rinnegan. The battle raged on for what felt like hours, with Arashiki slowly gaining the upper hand. As Naruto's mind began to be torn apart by the sheer force of the battle, the Kyuubi was struggling to hold on. I can't hold on much longer. Kyuubi thought, breathing heavily. If only he could absorb the abundant natural chakra in the air. Though he has control of Naruto's body, to absorb senjutsu, he needs to concentrate and maintain the balance of chakra inside Naruto. He can't do that while facing Arashiki. Pushing any further would cause irreparable damage to Naruto. As the intense clash continued reverberating through the very air itself, the environment surrounding Naruto took on a palpable stillness. His body lay motionless as if suspended in time by the sheer force of the battle that raged within him. Jiraiya, flanked by Ma and Pa, moved with deliberate steps towards the young ninja who is at the eye of the silent storm. Their experienced eyes noted the subtle, yet unmistakable, flicker of chakra around Naruto, a testament to the fierce engagement locked within his psyche. As they drew closer, the Kyuubi sensed their presence. Their chakra is rich with the essence of nature, senjutsu. Though he can't move Naruto, he can still use the blonde's senses. With a gentle touch that seemed almost reverent, Ma, Pa, and Jiraiya reached out to Naruto, their hands hovering over him, making contact to check if everything is alright. It is a silent blessing, as they thought Naruto is exhausted by the over-absorption of senjutsu. The Kyuubi seized upon the senjutsu with a fervor born of desperation and resolve. The chakra flowed like a rejuvenating tide, filling his reserves, mending his spirit, and reigniting the flames of his vitality. Arashiki observed the scene, a deceptive calm settling over his features. To him, this looked like a final, somber farewell, a forfeiting of hope as the mighty Kyuubi relented to the inevitable. He allowed himself the faintest curl of a smile, believing victory was his. But the truth is far different. The senjutsu from the three sages coursed through Kyuubi, a silent promise that the fox hadn't given up the fight. He is merely biding his time, gathering strength for the moment of the final clash. Arashiki slowly walked towards Kyuubi. Did you finally see the futility of this, Kyuubi? Arashiki asked, his hands forming a big black ball to end the Kyuubi. He can feel the abundant chakra locked behind the stupid form of the fox releasing and replenishing and rejuvenating him, pushing him over the edge to take over Naruto's body. As soon as this attack is complete, you will join the brat and become part of me. He said with a happy smile, and soon, the ball bloated. Farewell, Kyuubi, Arashiki said and sent the ball towards Kyuubi. While the Kyuubi charged a final bijudama, putting everything he had and stole into it. Sensing the massive build of chakra in Naruto, the three sages jumped far away from Naruto, knowing the physical repercussions of a strong chakra battle. Both attacks met, Arashiki's overpowering the Bijudama, and as Arashiki smirked in victory, his attack got ripped to shreds as a pair of pale lavender eyes opened behind Kyuubi, empowering the Bijudama. What? This is impossible. How can you be so strong? How did you do this? Arashiki asked in horror as his body got engulfed in black markings from the Kama. You underestimate me, Otsutsuki. Be gone, Kyuubi said with a boastful smirk. In a final burst of chakra, Arashiki was driven back into the Kama as the Kyuubi slumped in exhaustion. He shrank considerably due to the amount of chakra exertion and went into a slumber while more orange marks spread on Naruto's body covering his face and his eyes. A black circle formed on his forehead reminiscent of a target locked and it broke, as if releasing something. With a dim glow, the marks recede back into the Kama, leaving no trace of their encroachment on Naruto's body. With others, in the wake of turbulent chakra uproar, the dust of conflict had finally begun to settle, like a heavy silence after a great cacophony. The battlefield, which is the clearing, strewn with the detritus of the fray, bore testament to the ferocity of the combatants. At its center lay Naruto, his once erratic chakra now pulsing with a steady, calming rhythm. Jiraiya, accompanied by Ma and Pa, approached cautiously. The trio, seasoned warriors of many battles, could not help but feel a twinge of concern as they took in the sight before them. Naruto's body was still, too still for the untrained eye, but the subtle rise and fall of his chest offered a silent reassurance. With a practiced eye, Jiraiya scanned the area, searching for clues that might illuminate the events that had transpired. Ma and Pa huddled close, their keen sage senses probing the ambient energies, trying to piece together the story etched in the lingering chakra signatures. It doesn't make any sense, Jiraiya muttered, his brows knitting together. The chakra fluctuations were off the charts, and now, this calm. What happened here? Ma shook her head, her face etched with worry. It's like the world itself has swallowed the violence of before. Whatever Naruto faced, it was no simple adversary. Gently, as if fearing to wake a slumbering dragon, they knelt beside Naruto. Paw-webbed fingers reached out, trembling slightly as he touched Naruto's forehead, whispering an incantation that glowed with a faint light. The wounds, both seen and unseen, began to knit together, the worst of the injuries mending under the sage's healing touch. We need to get him to a safer place, Jiraiya decided, his voice barely above a whisper. Somewhere he can rest and recover properly. Without a word, they worked together, Jiraiya carefully lifting Naruto into his arms while Ma and Pa watched over them, their eyes scanning for any sign of danger. The air is thick with the unknown, each sage's mind racing with possibilities and unanswered questions. The journey back is quiet, each step taken with a solemnity reserved for the aftermath of great and terrible events. They are a convoy of guardians of the child of prophecy, each lost in their thoughts but united in their purpose. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across their path, they finally reached their destination. Naruto was laid upon a futon, his breathing easy and deep, the peace of his features belying the ordeal he had just endured. Now we wait, Jiraiya said, his voice a soft sigh. He'll have quite the tale to tell when he wakes up. He gave a low chuckle. Ma and Pa nodded, settling into a vigilant watch. They would be there when Naruto opened his eyes, ready to aid him, ready to listen, and ready to continue the fight if necessary. For now, the uncertainty of what had occurred could wait. They had their charge to tend to, and they would guard him until he was ready to face the world once more. Week later, after a week of silent vigil, the atmosphere in the small, dimly lit room is punctured by a subtle shift. The gentle rise and fall of Naruto's chest had been the only constant in that time, a metronome counting out the seconds to recovery. The first hint of change came not with fanfare, but with the faintest flutter of eyelids that had remained resolutely closed for the past week. As dawn's light crept through the paper screen windows, it seemed to carry life itself, coaxing the young shinobi back from the realm of unconsciousness. Jiraiya, who had barely left Naruto's side, immediately noticed the change. His book, a constant companion in the quiet hours, dropped to the floor, forgotten. Ma and Pa, equally attentive, hopped closer, their ancient eyes wide with anticipation. Slowly, as if emerging from a deep ocean dive, Naruto's eyes opened. The room held its breath. But the eyes that met Jiraiya's were not the bright, cerulean blue pools reflecting a spirit unbroken, they were a pale lavender, deep and enigmatic, speaking of untold power and mysteries yet to be uncovered. Naruto. Jiraiya's voice is tentative, a mix of hope and a dawning realization that something profound has changed. Naruto blinked, his vision clearing, the lavender of his irises catching the light in an almost ethereal glow. He looked around, recognizing the familiar faces, but there was a depth to his gaze that hadn't been there before. Ma and Pa exchanged a glance, their experience as sages telling them that this is no ordinary aftermath of a battle. The lavender hue, it is significant, a sign of an awakening, perhaps, or a transformation that went beyond physical healing. Jiraiya leaned in closer, his own reflection visible in the changed eyes of his pupil. Naruto, your eyes, he began, his voice trailing off as the full impact of the situation started to dawn on him. Naruto's gaze finally focused on Jiraiya, and a flicker of confusion passed over his features. What about them, Ero Sennin? He asked, his voice hoarse from disuse. Naruto, why do you have Byakugan? With Tsunade, Konoha. The morning sun crept over the rooftops of Konoha, casting the village in a soft, golden light. For most, it was the start of another peaceful day, but within the Hokage's office, tension coiled like a storm waiting to break. Tsunade sat rigid behind her desk, hands steepled beneath her chin as her sharp, hazel eyes darted toward the clock for the third time in as many minutes. The early hour brought no solace, instead, the quiet amplified her unease. Naruto and Jiraiya should have returned by now. The silence from their end gnawed at her, feeding the sense of foreboding that had anchored itself deep in her chest. Shizune stood to her right, Tun nestled against her arm, her expression caught somewhere between concern and reassurance. Tsunade-sama, Naruto-kun wouldn't miss his training deadline. You know how stubborn he is, she said, her voice soft, almost tentative. Tsunade's fingers began to drum against the desk, an uncharacteristic display of her nerves. It's not Naruto I'm worried about, she replied, her voice clipped. Jiraiya hasn't sent word in days, and with the Akatsuki on the move, her words trailed off, leaving a heavy silence in their wake. The sudden flutter of wings shattered the stillness. A falcon swooped into the room, its piercing cry slicing through the air. It landed with precision on the edge of Tsunade's desk, a scroll tied securely to its leg. Tsunade wasted no time untying the scroll. The seal of the cage gleamed ominously in the soft light of morning. Her sharp eyes scanned the message, and her jaw tightened with every word she read. Damn it! The curse escaped her lips as she slammed her palm against the desk, the sound echoing through the room. Shizune jumped, her grip on Tun tightening. What is it? She asked, her voice betraying the alarm she felt. Gaara's been kidnapped, Tsunade said, her tone cold and clipped. The Akatsuki. The words hung in the air like a death knell, suffocating in their weight. Shizune's face paled, and even Tun let out a distressed squeal. Tsunade pushed to her feet, her commanding presence filling the room. She began issuing orders with the precision of a kunai slicing through flesh. Send for Kakashi, Sakura, and Sai immediately. They'll form the primary team.